All right, good afternoon. It's April 21st, 2022, and we had a big downtrend today. This is how I saw it. I haven't really come in to look for another channel here, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was something. I mean, here, well, maybe this is a, let's see if this is, we get a measured move here. Well, you can see that midline is coming into play. So I probably did have it correct, but it's just hard to say. Maybe if we drew another, like a midline in between this and this, I would not be surprised if this bounce right here is from that. But, you know, I'm not going to sit here and wonder all that all day. So let's take a look. In the overnight, we actually trended up. And we had this, looks like, let's see, probably. Yeah, that looks like a channel right there. But the way I just played it was just like a spike and channel up right here. So I think 5 o'clock comes somewhere in here. So you get a second entry long right here, but my signal bar isn't good. I don't know how I would feel about that if I was watching it live, because it does look like one leg down to me. And you get, this definitely looks like a second entry long as well, but the signal bar is not the low of the swing, so you can't go long there. We get a break, and you actually do get a first failed second entry long, or failed second entry short, excuse me, to go long above. And this looks like a pretty good setup. I don't like this congestion here, but it looks like we broke out of that congestion, came back down, tested it, and yeah, so I think that's a decent entry. But we make a double top here and just start to reverse shortly after the open. Looks like 20 minutes after the open. And you get a first entry, failed second entry long here, but that's too congestive. These are all inside bars of this large bar here, so I'm not convinced to go short yet. But you make this double top, and so first entry, failed second entry long, and that is on this short-term trend channel. Let me go ahead and make this yellow. So I think that's a great entry, and that gives you a lower high, but you have these lows right here, and if there's room to the opening price, I think I'd probably heavily consider that. I just don't like when you're going this far from the EMA. I just get very uncomfortable with that, but definitely plenty of room back to the opening price to scalp out. So come back here. This looks like a second entry, but this is a new low, and I don't think you can take this. This is not the high of the swing. This might technically be a failed second entry long, and it is off the trend line, but we already had a break. Even this is a break, really, but let's call this the break. We already had a break, and it's just a little, it's risky. I'll mark that aggressive. And then we correct, and you get a second entry right there, but you wouldn't have had that trend channel, so I don't think you can take that. But you do get a first failed second entry long. This set up very well. I like that entry. Only thing that would have made it better is if it were right off this trend channel. And I guess if you draw it like this, it is, but I had mine steeper. So, and then we form this range, and we're chopping around. You get a first entry, second entry short, and it looks like they probably trapped a bunch of, you know what, that's probably, I think that's probably red. They probably tracked a bunch of longs going on the failure right here, and they give you a lower high, and I probably marked this aggressive because you're going right into that midline, and at this point, it is a range. So I'm about to keep that green, but that's a lower high, and it gets you right where we expected it to go. And if you don't take that, you get a first entry, second entry, matching high. Well, not room to the midline to scalp out, but it's a good entry. We're clearly ranging, so I'm thinking on a second entry like that, with that setup at the high of the range, it looks pretty good to me. And we come down here, and I don't think there's any. This is a second entry short, but there's no way to get in that. Signal bar is no good. It's above the EMA. Still kind of expecting congestion. But you can see we made this measured move and bounced a little, but then that failed. This is too far from the EMA. This is a failed second entry long, too far from the EMA. First entry, failed second entry long. This is far from the EMA, but I mean, we're getting into. It's really looking like a strong downtrend now, and that's why I like that. But it is far from the EMA. So that looked pretty good, and it looked like this channel, the support was going to hold, but it didn't. You can see we're ranging here. No failed break higher. You get a double test here, and it's a second entry short, so you might consider that, but I just didn't like it because this looked like the bottom of the channel, but you definitely might consider that, and the signal bar is not great. First entry. So the failed second entry long here comes right here. This ends up looking like that's the failure. And that's off the trend channel. So, I mean, if you're feeling aggressive, I mean, today, look, is a pretty strong downtrend. So you might consider that on a day like today. And we're just too far from the EMA here. We formed this pink range. I didn't see the pink range in real time, and so I got trapped on my practice account. I think I went long here on like a reversal because we hit this measured move of the range, and that might be the only reason why I did that. And we had to overshoot this larger daily channel, so that's another reason. Let me delete some of these. This probably irrelevant. This one's relevant for sure. Yeah, this turned out to be a range, and you can see it fails right here. That's actually a second entry short, so you might take that. I'm going to mark that aggressive, but you might take that. Second entry short, and then I was thinking on my practice account that if we had a failed second entry long right here. But if you have the midline, if you have the range, you're going right into the midline, so it's a little risky. We break out, and they probably trap a bunch of longs here. You get a first entry, failed second entry long, off the trend channel. I just marked it aggressive because of this level of support, and there wasn't quite enough room back to the midline, but that's a pretty good entry. And if you don't like that, you get a second entry short right here, but you're going right into the midline of that range. That turns out to be a channel. Then we form this range, and it's just too tight. Breaks out, but the second entry isn't a good signal bar, and then we get this first, second entry short, and I think we've been selling off all day, so I think you can take that. On a normal day, I don't think I would consider that. And that forms a spike in channel, and I don't see anything I really like in here. This is too far from the EMA, but you actually, I mean, you might just go short just because of the context of the day, but that's all I saw today. So I hope everyone had a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow.